Welcome back, everyone. It is January 13th, 2026. It's about 11 a.m. and yeah, let's jump in, right? So, last we left off, we were over in this section right over here. This is where we kind of left off. And one thing that I was saying was, let me zoom in here, was that we stay in the range until otherwise, right? So we were at the top of the range and we were moving. We were right around here in the last video, and I would suggest that you go back and take a look at the video to see exactly what my plan was, because I made it clear towards the end. What I said is that I wasn't interested in taking a short. Rather, I was interested in possibly adding on to my long if we went down, because as long as we haven't broken the range, which we have not, we're going to stay in the range. So as you can see, we did do a pullback here, and one of the things I was saying was that we are going to test these right over here. Okay, because this was the breakout. So this is important to note, all right? And what I want to point out here is this was the structure that we were in, this tiny range for quite some time. I think we were in this for, I don't know, it looked like it was a month or something like that. This was like all of December, I guess, right? And in here, we kept wicking, we were doing all sorts of things. Right here, we dipped down a little bit, and again, I took a long in this section, which I mentioned before, and I had a plan for this as I went along. And notice that it broke out right over here. This was the breakout zone. This is like, if I were to make the top line here, if I were to give it like a little bit more emphasis, right? You can see that this is kind of the breaking point right here. So the fact that it came up over here and then it rejected on the high of the range, right? Which I was saying, I'm not surprised that it's having some kind of reaction. It came down to retest this section. This is this whole top of the range that we were in before. And it got stuck right at the very top. So what I was saying is that if it pulls back over here, I would be looking to DCA in this area. And I did. Also, I mentioned before that we've tapped this whole section, this high of the range, so many times that I feel like we're about to resolve that. And it looks like, honestly, we're about to resolve that. So if I were to zoom out and see where we are looking, what I'm looking for is I'm actually looking for it to come up here. Oh, why did it just do that? That's weird. Hold on a second. I'm looking for it to come over here. It has to break this set of order blocks. If I were to draw a line right over here, it has to break that line, this line right here, because this is the cluster right before this big fair value gap, or this gap that's right there, right? So it needs to break this, which means I believe we're going to see a little bit of resistance on the 50% line. If we see a little bit of resistance, what I am truly looking for is I'm looking for this target to be hit, which I mentioned before in all the other videos, okay? Now, unfortunately, it's taking a lot of time to do this. It's been really dragging out while the stock market, it's been really dehinged from the stock market. But you could see now, you know, as I've been telling you all of this time about this structure, about the fact that we're kind of in this range here and there might be a change of character. If we break this order block right here, we have now created this on a bigger time scale. This is the 12-hour time scale here. So as long as we break that, and you know what I'll do is I will put a little line here so that you can see this is the line that we need to break. Okay, now not only do we need to break it, but we can find some resistance right here. It can come back here, gather a little strength, maybe wick down a bit, maybe test this break area, you know, wick down a bit and then work its way back up. So we could do that, but that's ultimately what I'm looking for is this spot right over here. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, that's the area. Now, what it does to get there, we will see. But so far, so good, right? It's just taking a little bit of time. I'm going to zoom out of here so that you can see this idea that I was talking about before about a change of character. So here is that big, long downtrend that we were in while the stock market was sitting its all-time high. And this is the range that we've been stuck in. I'm going to include the bottom here. This is the range that we're kind of stuck in. Let me just undo that. Hold on a second. Let me keep it true to my lines. This is the range that we were stuck in right over here. Okay, so this is the area that you were able to play. And you can see that it's forming like that. So now it has to choose a side. The side is either down or it's up. And so far, it's looking like we are starting to grab some strength to go up. The other thing is, because we are on a higher time frame, you can see here, we've got a higher high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high. No, my goodness. Yeah, there we go. So this is lower high, Lower high. No, my goodness, I'm sorry. Let me undo that. It's a higher low. Oh gosh, I'll get these one day. Higher low, higher low, higher low, and higher low. It's the lower side of the chart. And you can see it's looking like this. So we are kind of going in this direction right there. So this is the trend line that it's on right now. And it's actually creating a triangle pattern right here. So if we do break out of there, here's the triangle pattern right there. We're definitely, you know, it feels like we're moving up. Okay, so again, here is the break of structure that it needs to do, which it looks like it's breaking right now. Now, the other thing is I want to go over to Ethereum real quick. So let's go over to Ethereum. And Ethereum, I didn't really map out to you guys too well in the last video, but I did say that I was in a long, and, you know, I did mention before that I was going to DCA in if we took a lower dip, like if we were taking a dip at resistance, and also that Ethereum is moving a lot stronger, like a lot bigger. There are a lot bigger moves in Ethereum. So instead of me DCAing just into Bitcoin, I did actually a heavier DCA into Ethereum, and I've taken my profit at this point, which is really, really good. So here, this is the structure right here. And again, so we can map it out like this. Here is the range. You could see it right over here. So let me just kind of like map it out for you. This is the range right over here that we're in. And notice that what we did was we hit this part right over here. This is the order block that it's struggling on, right? Over here, it went above and it never touched back down, like never touched this line again. And the same thing over here, it did the same thing. So now, here we go. If we can break this line right here, then yeah, we're looking at this line at being the target to take this out and to get this order block that's right up here, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I am looking for Ethereum to resolve itself out of this range, just like Ethereum, or I'm sorry, just like Bitcoin, and come over here and take out this liquidity that's been built out over here. And why is there liquidity over here? Because there was a fast drop, a very fast drop over here, and there is somebody that's still stuck underwater over here. So they're moving the chart up, and they can take their money, making it resistance, and, you know, we can kind of struggle and head over to the 50% line to kind of like take this order block out over here and deal with this guy up there. So far, everything is moving. It's moving a lot slower. Now, I haven't made any other video between the last time we talked and this video because I find that redundancy, like I'm just repeating myself, right? And my plans don't, like I give my plan way in advance. And if you noticed, like on the weekend, here is the weekend action. I mentioned before that on the weekend, the volume dies. So this, I believe this was around Friday. And then it went down here. It started, yeah, from the last video, it came over here. And this was the weekend right here. This was the weekend. This is the volume completely died. But if it came back here and it was retesting this area, you really had this whole thing, all of this time to get in. At any point, you could have gotten in. And you could have said, hey, you know what? I'm going to put my stop loss over here just in case it wicks down a little bit and it goes back up, right? So when you find a range that it's in, especially if it's going to change direction or anything like that, right? Because this is a smaller fractal than the bigger fractal. You can see it. So now we're kind of like working our way up like this, right? So we'll start to find a trend that happens. So when you find a range that you can mark out, meaning like the highs and the lows. So here's the high, here's the low right here. Then you aim for underneath or above for your entries, or at least your stop losses, right? Find the low of the range and then give it a little bit of fluff so that you can, this is where I would get X'd out right over here, right? So all of this time, you truly had time between the last video and the video before to actually catch along, especially on the pullback that I was saying. I am still not interested in taking a short yet. I am not there, and the reason why I'm not there yet is because I feel that shorts are going to be very tricky. Now, mind you, this is a great short. This would have been a great short, but I'm going to give you the perspective of why I didn't take this short right here. I was in a long over here. This is my long, and I took profit here. I took profit right there, right? And then when it pulled back, yes, this would have been a great time for me to actually hedge the market. But I took this funds right here and I actually threw it back into the chart right in this zone right here, and I'm catching this move, which is essentially the same move. Now I could have caught this 2 times if I wanted to, but I have this idea that we are going up. So my bias is up. So by me taking this short over here meant that I would have had to watch the chart a lot longer and really try to figure out where my exit would be in hedging. And I don't want to micromanage this chart right now because the wicks that it's been creating are meant to take you out. So I am only one directional right now, which is long. I'm long. Once we cross this 50% line, then I will be looking at taking some shorts because there are moments that we can grab before we get up here. So anyway, I hope that was clear. Let's go just take a quick look over at the S&P 500. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, so we are still, remember there was, in the last video, I made this bullhorn pattern right here. And I was saying that this is the median, right? This is the middle right over here. And it was starting to go up, and look, it came back down over here and it's working its way back up, right? So this is really the target that I'm looking for the S&P 500. Hopefully it hits that and we can see the bullhorn pattern play out, right? Okay, guys, just to reiterate what I'm thinking, again, I am in a long. I've taken my profit. In fact, I think I can actually show you, let me show you my cards so you can see. This is one of them, right? And you can actually see where I entered, 89. I'm like down here somewhere. So that's one of my take profits. And again, you know, I've added more to this at this point. And then over on Ethereum, you can see I've actually got 2 cards to show you. So you can actually see that I've DCA'd in where I said I would. So this was my entry. This is 31.18, so somewhere around here. Yep, this is it right over here, right there. So that was my entry, okay? And then what I did was I DCA'd in heavier, much heavier. And here is my second take profit that I did. And it moved me down to 31.07. So now my, yep, so yeah, so I'm still kind of in the zone here, but I've taken my profit from over here and I've thrown it in and I got 20% more, which is great because all of the 50% profit that I got threw it back in here and rinse and repeat. So what I'm looking for is I am looking for this to be hit and this to be hit. This is where I'm interested in taking a short. And actually, I'm actually looking up here for the short. So, but if I get a reaction right here, I might actually take a short. And if it comes over here, we can start to address what the next plan of action is. Okay, guys, I hope that was clear enough. Hope you have a good day. Please stay safe in these markets. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment down below. And if you are enjoying our content, please feel free to click like and subscribe. It'll just help us along the way. And yeah, all right, guys, be safe.